This is the 5-app project. This is Max Jamelli's 5 apps that I've found very useful so far. Some of them are going to be from the course already. I know we were supposed to look at some outside apps. I have some of those, but there are some apps that I've discovered here that just are really, really beneficial. And starting with this one right here, I'm screencasting in Explain Everything. I think screencasting is something that can really apply to me and my course. I'm not a one-to-one school district right now. Like the high school, we're not one-to-one for iPads. We're not even one-to-one for computers. I do teach out of a computer lab, though. So screencasting is something that can be beneficial to me, especially in a flipped course. I teach an upper-level accounting class that is largely an independent study, but screencasting would allow me to kind of flip classrooms and at least give those students personal one-on-one lessons when they need it. I know there are certain lessons that are coming up for them that I will be using screencasting for in an attempt to help them, build cash budgets, build purchasing budgets, and things like that. So I think Explain Everything is one of the most powerful tools that I've seen so far, in that you can build using the iPad, but deliver on a desktop in my classroom. So this is app number 1 for me. App number 2 is something that I've been using for a while, and it works online, but there's also apps for it. It's called Quizlet. I use this to help my students with vocabulary, but it's one of these apps that has multi-class benefits. I mean, it'll work for accounting, it'll work for personal finance, it'll work for science, it'll work for history, it'll work for any class that has vocabulary, and in some cases, math as well, where there are certain games available online that also sync up with the mobile version, whether it's either on an iPad or an iPhone of some kind. So I'm picturing a student on the bus going to school being able to access their Quizlet and study for a vocabulary test or something like that. So I think this is really beneficial for students to use or to be introduced to. Another great app is Nearpod. Now, we've done something with this in week 2. I was actually introduced to Nearpod by one of my colleagues who had taken iPads in education sometime last year. I really think this is a cool tool. I mean, I think it's easy to use. It's mobile friendly. The examples of schools that are one-to-one, I think of the Magnet School down here in Chambersburg. I think this is a great way to incorporate notes and quick formative assessments as well when you're building in those quizzes. For me, in my computer lab, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. You share the code, the kids log on, and boom, there they are. They can see my notes on their screen, and this is really good for the kids who maybe sit in the back or have that tall kid sitting in front of them. They can see absolutely everything, even the small text that you see here. It also helps with one of my downfalls, and I can try. Oh, this is a little thick. As you can see, I'm doing pretty well here. My penmanship, not that bad. I mean, I'm not a professional baseball player just yet, but penmanship is something that, especially when I'm teaching and I'm rolling, sometimes it's tough to read. Nearpod eliminates that. My notes are typed up, so Nearpod is really cool. Now, the last 2 slides are definitely things we wouldn't have covered in this class. They don't really fit with many Common Core classes, but since I'm a business teacher, they fit well. And I know that 10 specific apps aren't generally the best things in the world, but the next 2 are really good supplements for my upper-level accounting courses. This is an example of something called iFinance. I think it has really solid sections on building budgets and reports, which wouldn't only be useful in accounting, but also some business classes like personal financial management and business 101. These are home-based business classes, that especially personal finance, where teaching the kids how to build a budget, but then showing them what a budget looks like in the business world. This app is a really good supplement. I definitely wouldn't use it to strictly teach, just to give the kids a look at doing things on their phone or their iPads, that you can build budgets and reports. The other one is called QuickBooks. QuickBooks is one of the market leaders in accounting software for business. They have an app which is customizable for real businesses. I would use the educational version, which has some limitations, but the features that it does have still relates to profits, losses, margins, certain invoices, reports, things that are applicable to accounting, individual data entry. As you can see, all of this stuff is material that we cover in accounting, and I think showing the students a snapshot of QuickBooks is really beneficial, and for them to be able to use it on a mobile device. Again, I think of the kids sitting on the school bus and just logging in to check how their simulation business is doing potentially. I think that's really valuable information for them. So again, my 5 apps that I have really found to be beneficial thus far: Explain Everything and Nearpod definitely are awesome. They're from the course. But outside the course, Quizlet I think is great. iFinance and QuickBooks both have their place in a business curriculum as well.